Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
He's a Chad Starks. He's right here.
Dr. Brian Chad Starks.
He's a Chad Starks. He's right here.
Dr. Brian Chad Starks.
Because we got poor schools. We got poor housing. We got no jobs. We got no education. We got no cultural competence when we do go to school. Now that we know this is happening, what are we going to do about it?
That's where I, a long time ago, made the decision that that's what my life's work should be about. So I want to say thank you to Lynchburg City Schools. I really want to say thank you to the elders for giving me this opportunity to be able to share some of my philosophical approach as well as some of the anecdotal stuff that I've done on some of the topics that are facing young men and women around the country. A little bit about Chad Starks. I am a criminologist, a critical criminologist, which means that I look at the system. I don't look at just the way crime is being explained or theoretical explanations of criminal behavior. I assume that all of us have the propensity to participate in crime based on the structural conversation of resources. So if you look anywhere throughout history, look anywhere geographically in any nation, anywhere you've seen poverty, anywhere you've seen poor education, anywhere you've seen high unemployment, the result of that is what we would like to refer to as Darwin's survival of the fittest. And we can equate that with crime. So I really want to start off that this is not a novel situation that we're experiencing now. This has been dated, recorded, and discussed over time around the world, not just in the United States. So I'm trained as a sociologist to understand the cultural value systems that participate in one's choice to participate in criminal activity. So one of the aspects that I really look at is the structural component of school systems. How does an opportunity for an education put me in the best position to achieve what we call the American dream? So from that, I extended my work to the representation of who's involved in the criminal justice system and kind of work my way back towards understanding the educational experiences as a community, as a child, and as the youth. With that, I kind of took my research and I turned it on its head. So you have a structural argument that education, poor education, unemployment, lack of resources contributed to the decisions of a number of people to participate in crime because we have to feed our babies, then there must be an opportunity for intervention and prevention. So if these are the variables that we focus on, why don't we improve the education systems? I know right now we're saying, the conversation I get with my crim students, public issues and private troubles. And public issues, private troubles are, if you're unemployed, that's your fault. If you're poor, that's your fault. C. Wright Mills, the great scholar, says that these issues are public issues, which means that society has to accept that we play a part in the participation of creating private trouble from an organizational perspective. So that means the understanding of poor schools again, unemployment, high poverty, we're going to have crime, we're going to segregate different populations based on these countries. Okay? So I'm in graduate school at the University of Delaware, and one of the top scholars in the sociology field as an ethnographer is coming to the University of Delaware. His name is Elijah Henderson. He's a professor at Yale. He wrote a book called Code of the Street, which kind of really changed the conversation about black criminality in the city of Philadelphia. He talked about these social constructs. He's coming to the University of Delaware, and I get an email. Mind you, I'm the only African American in the PhD program at the University of Delaware, male that is. And they invite me to go to lunch with them. I've been there maybe 2 years, and I hadn't been given an invitation to go to lunch with any other faculty member yet that was coming on campus. So of course, even my paranoid mind said, why me? Why am I being chosen now? Do we want to send the message to the greatest African American ethnographer that there is no racial bias going on at the University of Delaware? I said I would not participate unless I investigate further. I contacted the professor that's organizing. I said, hey, how about the other minority students? Have they been invited? I sent out an email to them. Yeah, we were invited to come to lunch, go to dinner. I said, this is what we're doing. This is good. I said, well, how about us having 20 minutes to talk with him about some of the issues that I'm going to face as a black man in the field, to have these conversations that most of us define as sensitive issues that we know of people's lives. What's it going to be like for me on the job? What's it going to be like for me to create opportunities, to create collaborations that's going to give me opportunities to publish, get me on a tenure track? What am I going to be faced with? I'm sorry, Dr. White Man Professor, you cannot tell me that. He tells me I don't want to segregate the department. I laughed. I said, have you noticed the department is already segregated? I cannot walk into anyone's office and they can tell me as an African American man, what can I do your haircut? What can I go sit and listen to some jazz music, historically ancestral, that I want to be a part of with people that look like me? What's wrong with that? Why can't I have that? You have it. My white male colleagues have it. They walk in your office every day. Some of the language and the communication that you have, I have to sit outside, observe, be a sponge, come back the next week and see if I can find my way to figure out how to navigate these conversations. When do I get mine? He sent the email from our interaction to our chair. She picked up the phone and called me. She said, hey, if you need my credit card, my office, my house, my car, of course you can spend time with the top black male ethnographer that's coming to campus here. That semester, I met him. He invited me to Yale University. I had the opportunity to speak at Yale about my research on the disproportionate representation of African Americans in the criminal justice system. Imagine that networking opportunity that I would have been missing out on if I wouldn't have stood for equity. From that, the graduate director calls me in and said, hey, I think we're on to something here. I said, we're on to a lot. Why don't we create a series to bring in minority scholars so my white male colleagues can see that we are in authoritative positions as well. Because if you're in criminology and you understand the sociology of deviance, we don't always get that opportunity to be on the other side of the position. We are usually on the back end of it. So subconsciously, he thought he was doing the right thing from a universal perspective as me as a graduate student. But what he did not know as a white male, there are certain things that I need from someone that looks like me in the same field, from the same genre, that's trying to build a brand to better improve the situations of educational systems, criminal justice systems. And it's okay. Go to grant, got money. Now if you look at their website, it is a statement at the University of Delaware called the Minority Mentor Lecture Series. I brought in some of the top scholars around the country, paid them a lot of money, took them to the best restaurants. They spent 2 days in the city of Newark, had open research sessions for the entire department. We're not excluding. This is inclusive. I dare not cheat my white male or white female, Hispanic, Latino colleagues because there's an African American on campus. No, come get this knowledge. Shake hands, network, get an opportunity based on the field. The next day, we have a workshop. We go to lunch. Now I need the time for no faculty members to be here. Hey, Doc, what was it like for you? What should I anticipate? What should I expect? How should I navigate the tenure track at a predominantly white institution compared to where I feel I belong at a historically black college? Because I understand these deficits that my community are facing. Where do I go with my future? What's going to give me the best opportunity? I'm sorry, no one but someone that has been through that can tell me about that. Got that started. Now, I'm going to skip a beat right here real quick. Same thing with NASA. I'm playing basketball as a graduate student with some good friends of mine. Their father happened to be one of the top physicists in the country. He's telling me that they're on probation. NASA has summer research interns. They have scholarships and graduate fellowships, and they cannot get them to minority students. I said, wait, you mean I'm spending my life trying to get the homeboys and the homegirls not to sell drugs, and you have resources that you don't know how to distribute to them? Oh my God, this is a piece of cake. I wouldn't know. He said, well, do you think you could help us? I said, without a doubt. I said, without a doubt. I said, because these kids need to understand the historical explanations as why they do not respond to emails and flyers. Any idea why not? Historically, those agencies have not been what? In favor of minorities. We're only dealing with the children. But what do you think happens in the homes and in the communities with Uncle Ned, Auntie Diane? Baby, they ain't gonna let you get nowhere. They didn't let me get anywhere. This is passed down from generation to generation of understanding a build of mistrust between people who want the same thing. How do we get to them? This isn't a one-side story, it's a duality. We both want the same thing, but we have it here and we can't get it there. Please let me be the bridge. Please, do you know how long I've been waiting on the institution with resources to copy and paste and take to my community and uplift everyone so we all can benefit from the experience of diversity and inclusion? The minds itself of being in the room are spectacular. It's spectacular what you can get in. You can put so many different perspectives in the room. To me, that's the true definition of what education and knowledge is about. It's not homogeneous. I don't want to hear the same thing from the same people all the time. That does not build me. That does not move me forward. We don't bump the needle. We don't move the needle. We get stagnated, and that makes us complacent. We can't be complacent when people are being disproportionately incarcerated because they didn't get a chance to have a doggone look at the third grade. Not good enough about the stars. Not good. I want to take that challenge on. My department says, why don't you focus on your research? You got a great opportunity to do this great big thing. I said, you know, research is great, but there's some people that where I came from, I think they need to see me right now. And I can't wait until I get better to be indoctrinated from a Western ideological society. That's not the way it works. Those folks are tired of waiting. They don't deserve to wait anymore. So when's it going to be time? If not now, when? You know, we are on a corny analogy. When does it happen? A number of us continue to look outside for leaders. They told me, you need to go look in the mirror, son. You need to go look in the mirror. Okay, all right, I rebuked everything my advisor said, and I took on these social justice projects because no one else was there. No one else was there. I'm fortunate enough to have that opportunity without that. I'm fortunate to be in this room. And that's what brings me to have this conversation with you now. Because we're still having the same conversation that should have been taken care of years ago. We still have underrepresentation of minorities, in particular young black men, high in gifted programs, and they are brilliant. We still have an overrepresentation of young black men in our penal system. How do I know they're brilliant? Because I am nationally certified in a program called Inside Out, where I take college students into the prison and have a combined class. No GEDs, no formal education. Guess who my best students have been? The incarcerated. Wow, wait a minute. So now you got time to study, you got books, you got a structure that will support you, don't you? Oh man, so you're not in the neighborhood with those social ills, those social problems that we all know exist, that some of us get to ignore. Well, when they look outside their window, it don't look so peachy keen. Those birds may be chirping, but it ain't a chirp of happiness. Do you think those kids can separate themselves when they come in your classroom? We ask so much of them, don't we? How dare us? boys' idea of double consciousness. We have not given them that to the third grade. We don't get that until we get to higher ed. How are we going to get there if we don't create a better infrastructure for them to understand that it's available for them? That's our responsibility. We got a chosen path of educators. Historically, right? Preaching and teaching. In the room. We are in the room. So, how do we get to this conversation of disproportionate underrepresentation? Currently, some of the work that I do is attacking those variables that are hindering us from being unified. And guess what the major one is right now? The media. We allow the media to educate us about crime and criminal justice. So weak, so not true. And we should have bumped the crime myths. Crime is down. Incarceration is up for what community, whatever. Crime waves come and go. They're going to happen no matter where we are. So why would we continue to still incarcerate black men? There's something called a racial threat perspective that leads to this understanding of why we like to respond to punishment before we respond to anything else. It's the quickest tool we can go grab. You know why? Because if he is dark skinned and he has dreadlocks, then what's the stereotypical ideology we attach to him? Tell me what you thought when I walked in the room. I'm a black man and proud. Tell me what you thought. It's a nice bow tie. If I take it off and I'm at the 7-Eleven with my Timberland boots and my jeans, you know I do have those also. But you walk past you and say, I bet he has a PhD, 2 masters, and an undergrad degree in sociology. I don't get that opportunity. I don't walk around every day looking like this. I do not. I shouldn't have to. I want that for every young African-American man. And so do you. You realize that 85% of those that go to the penitentiary coming home, right? We basically get this in 3 ways. Victims, offenders, and the police. This is how we gonna lead them. I don't want you walking outside and get hit in the back of the head because I couldn't get a chance to get a part of the education in the city of Lynchburg. That does nothing for me and my argument. It does nothing for my community. It only perpetuates the stereotypical analysis that we know need to be debunked. I keep losing. I keep losing. We keep losing. I'm here today to have the conversation about why it's going on in the city of Lynchburg. It's going around everywhere else, but why here? I've been here since June. I've been to Rustburg Correctional Facility. I've been to meet with the chief of police. I've been to the Blue Ridge Regional Jail to meet with the director and the assistant director. They come on campus and spoke to my classes. I've met with the chief national judge. Lo and behold, I got my shot. Go downtown and meet Dr. Bravery. See how fortunate I am in a place where, in most places, if black male criminals is coming into a city, how do you get to all these agencies in 6 months? There's something going on. That's what I said. There's fertile ground. There's an opportunity. These folks want change. Can I be a catalyst and a bridge again? Can I be one? An institution, the heart of itself, that's the hardest thing to do is get folks to buy in. Because you got to undo all the stereotypical stuff that we know the media pushes out about. That 13-year-old black man that's 6 foot, 210 pounds in your classroom that stands up when he disagrees with the teacher, disrespecting him, and he stands above you and raises his voice. Because culturally, this is how we communicate around the way. The first thing we pull from that white female, that male female, that's 5 foot 110, I'm afraid. Where does your fear come from? Hands are down. Where does fear originate? Television, your educational experiences, right? Because when you talk about who the deviant behavior comes from, they look like me. So you feel empowered that you have a right to respond with punishment. Get away from me. We want to separate ourselves again in the environment that's supposed to be the most conducive for their futures. Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, Tariq Riley, and most recent 12-year-old young man in Cleveland, a Pelican. How many targets right now trained police officers where, back up, put the city code on that. My students, current events, bringing a video in South Carolina, Highway Patrol, put a man over. I'm pretty sure you've seen it. Pull them over at the gas station and says, show me your license. The guy reaches back in the car to get the license and the police start shooting the highway patrolman at the gentleman doing what he was instructed to do. I asked my student how she feels about it. She was like, why did he reach back in the car? I said, wait a minute. My understanding of law enforcement, you only pull your weapon as the last resort. What happened to those critical cultural conversations? What happened to talking that person down? What happened to the stunning? What happened to the jelly bean gun? What happened to shooting them in the needle window so that they can beat that mother's son again tomorrow? What happened to that option? I was afraid. Mr. Policeman, you're afraid that I want you to find another profession. Because young black men are dying because you are fearful of someone that doesn't even have a gun. It's not a fair fight. It's sad when you think about the semantics that we are losing sons, nephews, fathers, uncles each and every day because we have this ideology of fear that was created from black. I know some of you saying, but black people do commit the most crimes. Black people get arrested for committing those crimes. Where you shine the brightest light, you will find the most dirt. I'll say it again. Wherever you shine the brightest light, you will find the most dirt. We don't get to go to the suburbs and do research on your drug behavior or your deviant behavior. They don't need the $10 to support their family for me doing my interviews in the state of beneficiaries. They don't need it. When I go to low impoverished communities, I get a chance to tell my voice now, right, Dr. Starks, I got something to say. Because they're living this turmoil, this pain each and every day. Please, somebody represent my voice. I got you. I'm willing to represent your voice. You should have been heard a long time ago, man. I get it. I am not excusing accountability. Do not misinterpret the conversation. But let's talk about accountability from a constructive perspective before we start talking about a 13-year-old kid having the wisdom and the training that we have. Let's take more responsibility for these issues that we are facing, not just here on a national level. Why do we still perpetuate that? It's a simple conversation. Why not? We know we want different. It takes a whole lot to get uncomfortable with that. I talk with a lot of the colleagues that I work with, they're like, but I feel awkward if I go over there and tell. I wish I could choose to feel awkward out here as a black man. Society don't let me be emotional. That's only for non-black people. I don't get to be awkward to make a reason why I need to change. I got to think how you think. I got to think how, make sure I don't offend white females, that I don't come off as a threat. We know the history of this conversation. Let's have a truthful conversation. Because that's the only way we can get down to change. I'm not going to insult you with the definition of insanity, but we know it, right? And that's what we're doing. This is a gerbil effect. It's a gerbil effect, and it's very tiring. It's very tiresome to walk in those institutions and consider, and each and every time continue to see the same faces. They just change identification. It doesn't matter if I'm in Philadelphia, I'm in South Carolina, I'm in Virginia. It's the same faces. Can we stop it, please? Can we get a 30-minute time out or maybe a full? Can we stop it? That's what my life work has been about. That's what brings me to the conversation today. Now, I will expand on this conversation of racial threat perspective by showing you a little video.
White boy who walks in the room and is animated and moving around and maybe even a little cheeky is smart. And isn't he smart? Isn't he cheeky? He's almost looked at as, well, boys will be boys. A boy of color, especially an African-American boy who walks in the room exhibiting the same behavior, walks in and says, I might need to keep an eye on him. We are afraid of these young boys. And I'm talking young boys, 4 years old and above. And that instead of the teacher looking at him or herself and saying, what is going on with me? That this same behavior creates fear in me instead of admiration. We pathologize the boy's color.
He's had the opportunity to be with in ourselves, be honest with ourselves. We're always looking not to judge. We judge. We judge on race, we judge on gender, we judge on socioeconomic status. And most often, those without access to the resources use them to tell them about that judgment, especially when it comes to the conversation of politics. I really want us to understand, and I made a point of making sure that there was someone that can look like me that I don't understand it. About that from the side that it would be great if we could have that conversation, but it's about the kids. And I'm sure this is why we all decided to be in education. Continuing this conversation, how do you think that behavior impacts the school system? When you're reaching for punishment because there's behavior that your classroom moves may not directly coincide with, first thing that we want to choose to do is a disciplinary notice. Just like the criminal justice system. We want to punish. Deterrence does not work. General deterrence theory, if I punish this person, they will not repeat the behavior. If I punish them well enough, it will acknowledge, it will let everybody else be on the alert. If you participate in this behavior, you won't do it. I'm not that smart. But why recidivism rate say 37%? Why do you see the same kids back in their assistant principal office getting disciplined? If you punish them and they keep coming back, can we stop that tape of punishment one time and say there must be some sociological roots? There must be something that's going on here that this kid is not afraid of punishing. But we instead, we keep punishing. We create zero tolerance. I'm so afraid that we don't want to deal with it. Zero tolerance. Guess who's not perfect? Man, in my educational journey, no one had tolerance for me. I wouldn't be here in front of this classroom. 1.54, first year at Wofford College. First F I ever got. First one. 1.54. What am I going to do? Am I going to go and do what I know my homeboys are doing at home? No. Someone came to me and said, hey, son, I believe you. There's another way to take this approach. You can realize the opportunity that you have. I'm first generation like most of these young folks that we are talking about. But there was a person on the other side that saw something in you. An assets-based approach instead of choosing the derogatory. Can we look at the good? We all bring some good to the table. Why do we choose the bad? It's easy on us, right? Let somebody else deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. No, let's deal with it. They're coming home eventually. This impacts our decision to send to the assistant principal's office for this. So you realize that this is no different than some of the structural issues that they're facing at home. You're telling them the same things that everybody else telling them. You ain't going to be nothing, and I don't care a thing about you. So that black male identity gets challenged everywhere he goes. He gets challenged. Any day he gets tired of always having to defend why his pants baggy or his head is coiled up and locked. Doesn't he get tired of that? Doesn't he think he wants respect just like everyone else, based on his cultural values? He should not have to lose his identity to be recognized. He should not be asked to talk and act like someone that does not have his historical pain. He should. What would that world look like anyway? Why do we ask so much of people with less resources? We have high expectations with negative impact. I'm not the smartest person again, but we expect you to come from a community facing this, but when you get here, you ought to act like you middle class. How is that possible? Please tell me. I couldn't do it. I didn't. I still don't. Why are we asking them to do it? Let's ask them to do it myself. We got the knowledge. I have some. I ask a little bit more myself. What can I do? I tell my students, if you come in this classroom, you're going to leave with something. I don't care if you're an introvert or extrovert, you don't like to talk, you don't want to read, it's my job to get to you. I got you now, because you signed up for the class. You may not realize for 7 years from now when you grow up and become an adult when he gave you job is to incarcerate more people than everybody else has. What happens when we have the suspensions? Where do those kids go? What would y'all do with 10 days at home when you was 13 years old? It's comical. Thank you. What do we expect from you to do? If I followed you around, and I know we all just 40, so I followed us around 25 years ago, right? What would you be doing on them days where mama and dad had already gone to work and you could cut the school? They're not following you, though. They're following our babies. When you send them home, it's almost like fishing in a barrel for community-oriented policing. With President Clinton, there's a lot of love from different ethnic groups. Tied over 100,000 and put police subs in a Japan model saying we want to improve the relationships with law enforcement. Except for it was inverted. Guess what went up? Not crime, but what went up? Arrest rates and incarceration from community-oriented policing. Well, what does the school have to do with it? They don't let you stay at school. And I said that on purpose. They send you home. Now, let's make the assumption. Say I don't care about school. Why are we giving what we want? If I give that kid what he wants, he don't want to come to class, don't want to read, we send him home. That's like a present, isn't it? Thank you. Now I don't have to be accountable. You don't care, I don't care, I'm straight. Guess who's going to receive them though? That street life orientation. They're not going to turn their back on the street. Come over here. You're welcome over here. You can be who you are. I give you all the respect you need based on this structure that we have set up and we know are killing each and every day. They lose hope, there's an optimism, but they get respect. Over here, I don't have to get the cues from the teachers that they don't believe me. You know they can smell. Oh, they can smell it on us, right? When you don't believe them, they can smell it on us. You don't have to say it. It doesn't work like that anymore. Not anymore. Before it used to, you ain't gonna be nothing. You sorry like your uncle. You ain't gonna be nothing like. That's not how it works anymore. It's these non-verbal cues. It's the walking off on the time of need. It's the seeing the head that's laying on the desk and you write up the slip because he's not paying attention to you. How dare he not listen in my class? You ever thought that he was sleeping because he'd been up all night doing the job and then your father or mother ain't doing at the age of 13? You ever thought that the kid is hungry because they didn't have anything to eat? Why don't we go there sometimes? Have a conversation with them. We're afraid of it. That's why we don't. I don't know what's going on. That means I got to be accountable. One of the hardest things to do in this world is care. Because that's the most selfless act that you have. Once you care, you're doing the hook. The pronouns change. It's not I anymore.
To win.
Exactly. Some of us are afraid to care. That means it's going to demand more. But imagine if you had 73 educators in the city of Lynchburg that cared in a different way. It would have to work with law enforcement. It would reduce the docket in the court system. It would reduce the opportunity to increase taxes to pay for those juveniles to be incarcerated. Because we pay for it. Those nice checks y'all get, those taxes go up every time one enters into the room. We pay for it any kind of way you want to define it, from an economic model, a model, from a sociological model, from a psychological model, because we're afraid of spending my money, but keep them over there. Spiritually, we all dying from it. It's just chipping at our soul, slowly but surely. So you are a part of it. I'm asking that you accept our accountability. I have. I write grants. I'm a former bail project. I got people out of jail for a living. I popped it off with vulnerable people acting with vulnerable time ever. It took me 7 minutes to write my name to get someone out of jail. I walked in and said, I'm opening up the floodgates. I'm going to let all the homeboys out. That's why I got into it. Young and naive. Gave me an opportunity to change my financial trajectory in my family. But look how I was eating. Look who I was getting the money from. People that didn't. I woke up. I said, wait, this just doesn't feel right. I've been fortunate enough not to make decisions $72,000 in my first 6 months getting people out of jail. I never made less than $100 grand for the next 6 years. I turned in my license, applied to the University of Delaware. They did not fund me. I was not a good enough candidate. I paid $10,434 out of my pocket for my first semester of PhD studies. And by the time I got to week 3, I had 3 research assistant positions offered to me. I made $16,000 a year as a research assistant compared to making $116 just 7 months ago. I ain't going nowhere from this story. I ain't going nowhere from this disproportionate representation. I've committed myself to increasing the opportunities so everyone can do it. If we start over here, imagine the inclusion that your kids are going to have. Imagine those educational pursuits. Imagine those different perspectives. That's what I have. I feel so fortunate that I went to a predominantly white school and I learned the value of $1 is equivalent to the value of $1. One of my great friends had a lot of money that I played football with. Took me to Boca Raton my first year in undergrad. Their McDonald's looked like our Red Lobster. I was like to eat. It was so clean and I was that uncomfortable. He introduced me to a whole different concept of thinking about economics. He opened my eyes to life. Made my first financial investment, became my stockbroker. I made $20,000 in about 2 weeks, money that I'd never seen before. Sat me down in undergrad and said, let me teach you about Dow Jones, NASDAQ. Come over here. I'm sorry, my mother couldn't do that. Neither could my neighbor. Neither could my uncle. Does that mean I shouldn't be a part of the moral fabric of America because I grew up in this situation? This isn't a caste system. Supposedly, you're not supposed to die in the same situation or born in America. This is the land of milk and honey. You're supposed to say it is upward mobility. I don't think everyone has been given an opportunity to grow. I want to focus on those that have been disenfranchised, that have been alienated from the resources. Doesn't know where to go about school to prison pipeline. It's a caveat. But if you have those suspensions, you send them home, you have a police officer presence in the school, checking bags, walking by, expect a certain. I don't know how many of y'all been to a prison, but it sure looks like that last time I was in high school. And I get it, we're afraid of violence. 11,000 homicides a year, 950,000 property crimes. When you watch your television, you watch the news, the first 4 minutes of a 30-minute news segment is about what? Not only crime, but violence. That happens nowhere near as much as property and financial crime. They mislead us on purpose to manipulate us, to keep us segregated. That media does. We are too smart. I'm too fortunate to fall for the okie doke. That's what I say. I'm going to read. I'm going to question. I want you to question our own motives. Let's question our perspective. So look, we've been doing it this way forever. Has it worked? Let's change it. Real quick. The conversation about who's in the room with these young men leads to some of the work that I've done with NASA about being a messenger. So, NASA has opportunities that I mentioned earlier. They can't give them to a certain population. And I say, why? And they said, Chad, well, we send out emails and we put up flyers. And I laughed at them. What's so funny? I said, well, why do you think minorities are going to trust an email or a flyer? I said, you don't think their parents can told them that boy, those opportunities ain't giving that school don't care about you or you? So we sending home invitations in the bag of the kids or sending letters home about your baby is smart enough to be tested for the gifted program. What makes you think mama even get those? I was in 3rd grade. My mother is a custodian. I'm one of 5. I go to school one day and Mrs. April asked, she said, baby, you didn't get the letter to be tested? a school, especially when you feel people don't care about you, divulging all your social problems to a stranger. It's not that easy. We got to work harder to build that trust and rapport. My mother used to send me off to school every morning. Baby, what happened last night? Stayed in the house. I moved 8 times in 18 years, and I never met with a guidance counselor about what was going on out there at night. When am I going to sleep when I go home? So guess who internalizes this? It can create anger, frustration, fear, doubt. They're bringing it to your classrooms, y'all. Doesn't mean they don't care about education. It doesn't. It means that the immediate issues at home may be a priority before listening to Mrs. Smith lecture on Western history. It's a reality. Ms. Ash, she saw it on my face. He don't want to tell me. He's protecting his family, cultural values. I am not going to put my mom down as working and put these 3 pair of pants out for me. Are you crazy? You think I'm going to embarrass her? I'm going to give her something to be happy about. I'm going to be the one that's going to keep that pain away from her. I need to let these teachers know what's going on so they can come on. So I talked to Chad today at the start. He told me some things. Oh no, you won't get my mom on that end. You know what she did? She signed me up for the test herself. And I'm in the gifted program. Rest of my life. We got opportunity to be messengers. What type of messenger are you? In the STEM program with NASA, of course we want the representation of Latinos, Hispanics, and women and blacks to be in the room. So those kids that look like them can say, wow, I want to be there. That takes a whole different conversation. Let's work with what we have now. What's wrong with you as a scholar saying, hey, Chad, you got time to stop by my office and talk to you for a second? But if you feel that you're not going to get uncomfortable or get comfortable, that's not your responsibility. So subconsciously, you start playing these actions out. You're segregating yourself from those kids. It was the buy-in from the associate directors at NASA that I had the worst problems with. Not when I went to talk to kids about the opportunities. I changed the whole probation. NASA did a write-up about Delaware Space Grant. Like, look at this sociological perspective of STEM. Where did y'all get this young man from? I'm still fighting with the associate directors, not with the kids, not with the private troubles, with the public issues. It's necessary. You think I could look at be a college professor? I'm in grad school, working on a master's in criminal justice at the University of South Carolina. I work for a lady named Kim Mooney. I work for Dr. Andrew Chisholm, the only black male professor in my 22 years of experience in education. Only one. Violence Substance Abuse Prevention Center. Working for him, didn't get funded there either. He gave me a job, did research for him. She heard about me, this lady named Kim Mooney. She asked him, as Dr. Chisholm said, can Chad start work for me next semester? I started working for her. Worked for her for 2 years. I'm about to graduate. She called me in the office and said, son, have you ever thought about being a college professor? I said, Kim, who's going to let me teach their children? Serious. And walked out of the office. Next week, guess what she did? She called me back in the office. She said, no, Chad, I'm serious. I watch you in the lab. I watch you interact with the kids. You have something. Assets-based. She pulled the asset out of me. She turned the light on. My friend from college turned the light on. Look, nothing like me. Nothing in my neighborhood. Socioeconomic status totally different. She is the messenger. She took it upon herself to say, hey, I don't think you have had access to this. Let me be the one to provide it for you. Finished the master's. Got a second one, alcohol and drug studies. You know the conversation ends decently, well at least. Because I pursued my PhD at the University of Delaware, one of the top research institutions for criminology in this country right now. And that's the same kid that moved 8 times in 18 years. Same kid was the first one to ever have a mortgage in the family. And my mother is one of 14 and father is one of 9. There's 128 grandkids. My daughter daughter just graduated from Coastal Carolina University and took her first class in her graduate program for Master of Arts in Writing last week. I just changed my generation because there were messages along the way that believed in the assets that I had to be beneficial for me to build productive citizens. They gave me a shot. I'm asking, y'all give these young women a shot. Thank you. Don't start thinking because you have brought into this that these kids are going to change overnight. Because you still got to deal with the structural issues and the historical issues that have plagued grandma, that they still have to be in the same house with. This is going to take some time. But you have to start chipping at that tree in order for it to fall. Right? Now you got the information, right? Because we're going to resource structure, organization, right? Now you're responsible for the information because it's yours. I hope I addressed your question, sir. And I hope I get the opportunity to have another